My name is Alejandro Perea, and I'm currently a junior at Cathedral High School, the Center of Advanced Studies, and I chose the topic of effective listening for my informative speech. The main point that I want to cover with my speech is to let you know the importance and positive impact that effective listening brings to any organization. Okay, most of us assume we are good listeners, and we take for granted that listening just comes naturally, when in fact, listening requires as much a skill as the other forms of communication, which are reading, writing, and speaking. First of all, effective listening is so important because we do so much listening each day. Now, secondly, but more importantly, it is essential that in an organization, effective listening takes place so that the organization can function properly. The business world is all about effective listening. If there is no effective listening in your organization, the chances of succeed are much lower. Actually, one study estimated that 60% of worker error is due to poor listening, and another study estimated that 80% of the executives rank effective listening as the most important workplace skill. Indeed, most working professionals recognize that listening is a skill that can and should be improved, and the way to do it is by applying ourselves through knowledge. From this point on, I will discuss the importance of effective listening in organizations. Most of us consider listening important when we know that the information we are receiving can benefit us in some way. At other times, we may feel that careful listening is a waste of time, but there is no guarantee that we ignore is not important. As I said before, when it comes to an organization and all the things that surround it, which are the customers, the employees, and supervisors, the coworkers, and the whole environment, there has to be effective listening flowing everywhere. In terms of effective listening affecting the customers, a huge role needs to be played. By listening to customers, the organization can learn objective information about its products or services. For example, customers can suggest product improvements that the research and development department may have overlooked. Listening to customers can bring a handful of positive outcomes to organizations. It can also tell us a great deal about the competition. It is like a chain of positive things. If you take care of your customers and listen to what they want, they will be pleased with your job, with your organization, and they will go out and recommend your work and talk positive things about your organization. Listening to customers can also increase sales and customer satisfaction. One great way to listen to and communicate with customers is through a public or company blog. Now, moving on to the employees of an organization, effective listening is a much delicate subject in this area. In an organization, management cannot afford not to listen to employees. Listening to employees is a way of showing support, which makes for a more open climate or better working environment, which increases employee satisfaction and productivity. When employees in organizations have recently been downsized, merged, or re-engineered, are likely to be insecure about their ideas, managers can do several things to show support. For example, to write down key beliefs they would share, listen carefully to what employees believe, and compare views. Of course, neither of these methods work unless employees feel that the manager asking for their options is sincere. It all basically comes down to listening. Listening and participating in company blogs, as I mentioned before, is another effective way to see what employees are thinking and saying. Now, although it is practically obvious that employees should listen to their bosses or supervisors, many employees are unaware of how important it is to show that they are actually listening. Given the appearance of listening without actually listening is unwise, but effective listening requires not only good listening skills, but also an indication that listening is taking place. Listeners can show that they are sensing what the speaker is saying by maintaining good eye contact and can show interest by other nonverbal behavior. What I want to say is that there are several things you can do to show interest and create a good environment between you and your supervisor. Supervisors often need to make sure that the employee is processing the information. Managers who don't see an appropriate listening response are likely to suspect that the information was not received correctly and repeat themselves, ask for feedback, or sometimes they become frustrated. Effective listening is definitely a great way to improve your relationship with your boss by helping you understand the boss's expectations and frame of reference. There are several suggestions you can rely on for listening and responding to your supervisor. For example, listen to know your supervisor. Use the knowledge to guide your general interactions with your supervisor. Develop the expertise your supervisors value. Be wary of giving advice. Build off your supervisor's ideas. Know how to praise appropriately and don't criticize your supervisor. These suggestions will always help you to become a better listener and establish a good relation with your boss. Moving on to effective listening among coworkers. We all know that business depends on strong interpersonal relationship among coworkers, and as a matter of fact, relationship development depends on careful listening to coworkers. Listening basically creates community. Effective listening with peers is improved when we are aware of which listening method is needed. Comprehension, which is used when you answer questions to clarify areas of confusion. Therapeutic, which is when supportive responses are given. Or critical, which is basically an objective assessment of facts and ideas needed. When the company you work on is global, you may find yourself a part of a cross-functional or virtual team where listening to coworkers is made more difficult and stressful by different things. For example, technology, cultural differences, or lack of personal knowledge about team members. Lastly, to end my speech, I would like to point out some signs of poor listening, which are the causes of disruptive situations and any good functioning in any organization. These signs of poor listening will be breaking the chain of command, learning about events too late, always putting out fires, information must be repeated, tasks given to others, and increasing written communication. All these signs can destroy an organization. We need to know that people are not born with the ability of listening effectively. Listening skills must be learned, and it is our decision to whether we want to succeed or stay in the way with the mediocre.